I am not coming from the school of only from a perspective of being oppressed. I have a fundamental belief with me that people are good. It's not that people are bad. But then when they get into a system, when they get into a construct, they are forced to, behave in a certain way. As Ambedkar ji said, caste is just a notional idea. The moment you understand, it just goes away in 5 seconds. That thought process.
The news of the day is the Supreme Court has allowed sub-categorization in reservation for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes.
Years of injustice cannot be corrected in 50-60 years. That is primarily something we have to understand. Even in the 7 judges who gave the order, there was one scheduled caste judge.
Most opposition MPs during oath-taking ceremony in Parliament, he also showed a copy of the Constitution.
Before the Congress, the Constitution was always hailed by only the Dalits. Then came a period when people understood that, especially the minorities understood that everything is wavered, whatever they are trying to do.
All political parties, including Congress, they seek votes, they target particular community, particular caste.
That is the reality. Caste is a reality today. Today, vote bank, families, love, affair, everything is decided by caste. This nobody can deny in this country.
Welcome to Newslaundry interviews. Today our guest is a former IAS official who resigned from the services in 2019. One of the reasons for his resignation was the abrogation of Article 370. In 2021, he took a political plunge and joined the Congress. Since then, he has been working for the party in various capacities. In the Lok Sabha polls, he won from Tamil Nadu's Thiruvallur constituency with a record margin of 5.7 lakh votes. After taking oath in Parliament, he said,
"Stop these shameful atrocities against minorities, Dalits and Adivasis. Jai Bhim, Jai Sambhina."
He is Sasikanth Senthil. Mr. Senthil, welcome to Newslaundry interviews. My first question is that the news of the day is the Supreme Court has allowed sub-categorization in reservation for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Do you consider that SC and ST are a homogenous group and sub-classification is not needed?
See, as far as a homogeneous structure is concerned, in India, I don't think apart from caste, there is any other category which is homogeneous. Caste is the single unit which is homogeneous. After caste, everything else is a category. But the scheduled caste, that list had been put because there was a category of people who underwent the same kind of treatment from the majority society. There will be an opportunity for the powers that be to tell that, look, there are no qualified people in this category, and so this reserved seat should be moved to general category. That is going to happen.
Or you foresee that this might happen?
This will happen. And of course, caste as a taboo has not gone. How many of them very willingly marry a Dalit? So when that is the case, then I think...
So how did you implement this understanding? How did you adopt it when you were IAS officer?
This caste is something which is there in every household. You may not see it very openly, but the moment you go tell your father, I'm going to marry somebody, that's when caste will come and they will see who, kahan ka hai. And BJP also once in a while shows themselves out. See, if you take 100 people, of this 100, you will always find 20 to 30 who are ready to understand what this is all about. They already know there is a problem with this. And when somebody explains or when they see the truth, they understand. And my politics is also towards that. It's about what Ambedkar ji really said. He wanted to annihilate caste. He didn't want to just fight for Dalits. There's a difference between these two things. Fighting for the Dalits and annihilating caste are two different things. Caste's entire pain goes to the Dalits. But then fighting with the Dalits alone will not annihilate caste. We have to annihilate caste as a society. But if you take BJP for instance, their ideology itself is casteist. Today we are talking about caste census, we are talking about caste, is because of not propagating caste, but to fight against it. You have to identify something to fight against something also you have to identify that. Right?
Or acknowledging it.
You have to acknowledge and we have to speak the truth.
Since you're talking about Rahul Gandhi, leader of opposition, I think this is the This is the first constitutional post that he is holding in his career. 2-3 days ago, we are recording this interview on 1st of August. 3 days ago in Lok Sabha, he showed a poster of Budget Halwa where he said, I don't see any OBC, SC or ST officer in that picture. Should he have led from the front and appointed an SC, ST or OBC leader as leader of opposition?
Congress party works with consensus creation. It is a collective party. I'm not saying this because I have to say this. A person like me, I get into this party, I have a say. There is an acceptance to a person like me in this party. Now, one day I want to go to a leftist meeting, I can go. The party would not say no. One day I want to engage with the Dalit leaders, the party would not say no. It is not like...
But was abrogation of Article 370 only reason why you quit IS, or there were other reasons too?
No, before 370, you had many other things which indicated where they were heading to, right? There were consistent mob lynching happening, complete silence from the Prime Minister on these things. The demonetization which happened. Everything is copybook Germany. Everything. Even the NRC, the idea to register every citizen is a Nazi idea. And once you register, what do? You categorize people, and then you make selective laws, and then you try to show some group of people as completely lesser than the human level, and then you go into some kind of Holocaust. That's how a fascist system progresses. And it was, for me, it was very evident that this is happening right in front of the country, in my eyes. And these two people are people who are used to this from Gujarat. They don't worry about anything else. So it was very evident for me that I had to get out and do something. And that time, the problem was this country was completely silent. Initially, my idea was that it has to be a people's movement which will fight this fascist, attack on this country.
Oh, and at the time you didn't believe that a political party can take on this government?
I didn't believe. I didn't believe. And I didn't see any sign. But then I always had the fear that when people confront these guys, the only response these guys will have is violence. Because these guys have no other idea. They don't negotiate, they don't talk, they don't they don't do all those things. They only do violence. And that violence also is not like them doing violence on the people. They will create violence within people. When the Nazis did the Holocaust, it was not the Nazi army and the SS which did all the atrocities. There was a lot of common people who were egged to do the atrocities. And then the government will just, like what's happening in Lok Sabha, right? So I was very apprehensive of that. And then Shaheen Bagh happened. And then Delhi riots happened. This was exactly what I was afraid of. So
after the Lok Sabha elections, BJP returned to power with truncated mandate of 240 seats. Congress improved its tally from 52 to 99. But did the results shock you, or they were on the expected lines?
They were on the expected lines.
You were expecting below 100 or 100 seats for Congress?
Obviously, we had a better range, but it was not very disappointing for us. For us, it was a direction that we needed.
The seat deficit between BJP and Congress is huge. How are you going to fill this gap?
We need to work on the organization, which will happen through a certain period of time in which we have to work on the ground. So our work is on the ground. As we are talking, we are working on the ground. We are working with our organization, we are working with the people, we are putting systems in place. We are, creating training programs. We are working very strongly. So we have a plan. It's only three things in a political, equation, in an election. It's the narrative. It is the way in which you take the narrative to people's mind. And then it is the groundwork. If all the three come together, we win an election.
A narrative could be positive or negative.
Narrative is narrative.